I suppose if you really want to cut to the chase, it really is true, because I know this because I experience it. So love tells no lies. Love is living in the truth because that means you know the truth because you're experiencing being loved in your own heart and soul, right? And so this is one of the reasons if you want to do the measurement within your own server, your own state of consciousness, right? It stands to reason using basic logic that if you wanted to go faster in vibration, you want to be a server, not an inverter. Okay? Because what it means is that if you're holding on to an electron, and let's say that you're holding on to $1, okay, you're slowing yourself down. You're preventing yourself from going faster in vibration, which is the expansion of light. So the more electrons that we're holding on to, the slower we are, the more dense we are. Right? And so if you saw the little chart Kim put up there about, you don't want to be down here. Well, I translated it another way. It's like saying, you want to be a multiversal server so that in other words, this is like when I was a child. I'm on fire. I'm on fire, Kim Go-Go, and I'm on fire. Plug into this little kid. This server is running at the highest rate of speed. We can go experience everything there is to experience because wherever the one is, we are. Well, really? Yeah, let go and let love be. That's called a beloved, which means letting go of all your fear. Everything's going to be okay. That's what love is. Love goes on forever. So this is why when I was a child, I realized there's no way I'm going to function in an environment like this because I'm a server that's giving away everything, which means, what do you want? I can have whatever I want. That's what love does. Love wants you to be happy, joyful. That's love and spirit, right? Experience being happy. Now you're experiencing more energy. If you want to experience more energy and more voltage, then it would behoove us to let go of all the voltage so that we're not holding the energy back, because if we're doing that, then we're not going faster to get more voltage. So if you want to experience more voltage, then you got to let go of voltage. Now you become a server. And if you're going to be a server, you need a lot of electrons. And when you become a server, those electrons run faster. Okay. I know. So you can imagine how this is when you're a server, a multiversal server, experiencing the eternal spirit of fire. You're in service mode. So you can see how that works. I'm not supposed to hold on to nothing. In memory, really, yeah, because that's no batteries required. You're running on DC current. You see how that works? What that was like when I was growing up as a kid? Oh man, I got to have a few little bit of electrons. So when I'd have friends of mine over at the house, my mama was freaking out. What are you doing? These things cost several $100s at a tailor shop, men's stores. Gant shirts and Eagle shirts back then in the 1960s were running $20 a pop. And this was back during the 1960s, when they were still on the gold standard, right? So Carpenter can make $250 and live like a king, right? Own a 3-bedroom house with a swimming pool, 12 miles from the beach, that kind of stuff. And high school. That's right. I know folks that were still in high school working as carpenters, living in 3-bedroom houses with a pool. As materialism things go, right? So you see what happened, the purchasing power, and how the numbers work with that, because there was a time when I looked at the data that said, hey, we had a purchasing power of a 300 to 1 back then, before they went off the gold standard. You had 300 times more purchasing power. And you can tie this directly into fire and ice, or if you will, cold fusion, hot fission, reaction states between the two, which is the negative and the positive magnetic polarity. How fast are we serving ourselves? right? So this really has everything to do with learning. How fast we're learning is going to be how fast we're giving away energy, which is giving away electrons. So when you become a server, you're going at a higher rate of speed. That means you're learning how to be a server. Right? Now the data is running through you. That means you're getting information first. That's the vertical rod, otherwise known as a rod of God, the staff, right? And then we can run a horizontal plane, right, a horizontal line, and put that right at the center point of balance between the vertical and the horizontal with all the angles, so that is perfect balance. That sphere is perfectly balanced. Every sphere is perfectly balanced, right? And so yeah, inverters, and so I watched a little video last night with Sandy Glaze about talking about inverted energy going in the other direction. I know. And so it is really learning, and it is really based on fear of letting go of that energy. And that's why healing is critical, and why learning how to self-heal is critical. But self-healing actually is the simplest of all truths, and that is to surrender to the one, because the one is always there. And they live in fear of surrendering to the one because they can't surrender to themselves, because they perceive that if I surrender to myself, I live in fear of experiencing what love is, and that's the lie. Because they've lost their connection to the one to believe the lie, instead of knowing what the truth is. So I know through personal experience that's why they hate us, and it's counterintuitive to hate something that loves you forever. So they're not living in the truth to know that, because they're afraid to experience that. And that's one of the reasons I used Misha as an example, because she came so close to letting go of it all. Because she wanted so desperately to experience what I experienced in my heart, which is what love is, because she experienced it in hers. But now it's up to her to surrender all that energy that's being held in memory, which is why she's chasing electrons. Right, as a result of all the trauma that she's experiencing. So on the one hand, she's wanting to be healed desperately, to release all that energy that's held in memory of darkness, as a result of what she's experiencing by experiencing what darkness does to her. Right? And so those are all the recordings. That's all the subconscious recordings that's running through the planetary memory board that's in the memory banks. And that's why I thank Sheriff J.D. Grudd when he made mention of that as long as this system is running through the subconscious that everybody's connected to, those children that represents the souls that still have souls that are left. As these subconscious stuff, these recordings are running through the entire motherboard, that means these children are still experiencing that, because the images are still there, held in memory. So that means that these servers that are represented by what they set up here through YouTube and DARPANET and all the rest of it, means that these children are still being tortured through the server, through the planetary motherboard. That was actually a very intuitive remark that he made on that. This inverted communication system that we're using with our consciousness becomes the energy that is still circulating, that is causing these children to keep experiencing that torture till their soul's gone. And we're providing the mechanism for which that's taking place by the very communication system that is up through mass media. And that's why she made mention of that, which means this communication system that we're using has got to go. And I've known that for many years, and I began measuring how long it's going to take to swap it out. So for me, from a telepathic point of view, because I'm plugged into the one, the ecospheres, then I know what's going on through my heart and my soul. I don't need a phone to know. The one is always with me to know. Big difference. Right? And so we're getting there. That's love is the law, and it's no longer negotiable. I know that. I've been barking that since I was 4 years of age. There's only one way, because it began with the first creation. It began with the first creative expression, which is what love is, which is an artist. That's called a free creative expression. You are free to create whatever you want, because the energy that you're doing it with is with the one. You're with the one you're with. So that means that what we experience in our mirror, which is what love is, it goes on forever, gifting electrons, because we're experiencing the gift that we experience in us, so we serve it on. Remember, pay it forward. Right? Which means we're not living in fear of holding on to one electron. Now we're going at the highest rate of speed. Now that we're going at the highest rate of speed, now we're a gifter. Now we're a server. And now we become free, because there isn't anything slowing us down to use the energy that we're using, right? To create the energy spheres, which is the love spheres, which is the energy spheres of creation. So we're manifesting in real time. So there isn't any tape delay. It's immediate. Because the speed is so fast, there isn't any delay. That's your ISO frame rate speed. Got something slowing us down. Yeah. Inverters. That's why it takes time for some folks to, hey, what's going on here? I'm experiencing it through my heart and my soul.